Yo, let's go and welcome to the video. I'm joined today with a pumper of a boomkin, Wagyu. Tell me about yourself. Do you have any alts? What got you into playing a boomkin? Like how long have you been playing it? What type of goals you have for playing boomy? Stuff like that.
I've been playing the game on and off since the game came out in 2004. Generally, like most expansions, I try to play something new, but in like the cases of these classic versions, I've just been playing what I originally played. So for vanilla or classic, I played Fury Warrior, so I did that again. But I played Horde instead of Alliance. And then in TBC, the original TBC, because we weren't going to need as many Fury Warriors, I swapped to Druid. And so I played Resto Druid from the start. And then at the end, I swapped to Boomkin in the later phases of the game. So this time, like, I really wanted to play all in Boomkin and really parse and push the limits of the class. And I think the guild enables me to do that, but I try to support as much as I can while pumping out as much damage by like innervating and doing trank and JC next and battle resing. I have an alt of every class, including a second druid that I had planned to do mining and herbing with, but with my personal life, I haven't been able to use them as much.
Yeah, I have my alt when I was on my old server has herbing and mining, and I would send mats from Alliance to my Horde tune through the neutral auction house. Now I'm just with my Horde since I transferred my Horde and not my Alliance, so I don't have my farming bot anymore. I'm leveling
Then
up
I
a
gotta
new
work
one.
hard for all those consumes.
Yeah. Got your Warcraft log page pulled up here. So you rotate both of the necks, it looks like, right? So you'll use one neck for 30 minutes, switch to the other neck for 30 minutes. Is that how that works?
Yeah, correct. I alternate. It depends what group I'm in. If I'm in the group with the warlocks and the elemental shaman, then me and the elemental shaman swap. And then we've done a couple of weeks where I've been in the mage group with the shadow priest and resto shaman. If I'm in that group, the Shadow Priest and the Resto Shaman swap back and forth, and then I'm on standby to back up if they don't have the buff up.
I just used a neck for the first time in a long time yesterday. I was nervous I was going to mess it up. We don't usually use those in my Horde Tunes guild, but it seems to really help out.
Yeah, it does. It makes a noticeable difference from what I've seen. Like you can tell when you don't have it up, like how it affects the parses.
And some other stuff about your gear. You've got a haste neck from ZA. You've got the haste legs from ZA, the haste boots from ZA. Almost everything it looks like. You got the trinket and the ring too, and the cloak. Do you plan on keeping all those pieces until Sunwell comes out, or are you still trying to upgrade maybe like your pants to channeled elements and things like that, or?
Honestly, Contra hasn't had great luck on a couple of different pieces. We haven't seen a single pair of channeled elements legs. We haven't seen a single pair of Nature Warden's treads. We've only gotten 2 trash caster ring drops and 1 council cloak drop, 2 nooses and 2 Zardooms. We've been pretty lucky on Skull of Gul'dan, obviously, because I have one. It was a 4-way tie for our loot. So once we start to see more of those other pieces drop, you'll see me replacing a lot of my ZA pieces that are currently kind of right now placeholders.
Because it looks like you have over 150 haste. How does it feel getting all that haste? Is it better to have like the faster pace to all your casts and everything?
It feels really good, except for the mana. The mana definitely, once I started to swap over to a lot of these haze pieces, the mana has just been hurting me. For a while there, I hadn't been using too many demonic runes, and now I've started to use them a little bit more. I definitely cannot do double lust without my Vate now, I feel like, unless I'm in that mage group with the Shadow Priest. So it's been interesting, and I gotta be honest, I'm a little bit afraid for Sunwell. The fights are gonna be longer, so I'm a little bit worried that I'm probably gonna have to use a lot more mana pots, a lot more demonic runes, unless I get some of these other pieces to swap out for the haste pieces.
Yeah, and you have Skull. You have an on use to have even more haste. So how are you using your trinkets? I know you've recently got Skull and the Hex Shrunken Head. Do you plan on keeping those two on for every fight for BT and Hyjal, or are you gonna mix them up a little bit and try some other things out, or you comfortable with those two?
So this was the first week that I had both of those. I got them skull and hex head on the same night, so that was crazy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I did this week without swapping. It felt pretty good. I got 5 new high parses for that week. I'll probably run those without swapping for a bit to see how it feels and how they're working before I make any changes and go from there. I kind of feel things out a lot more than anything. Like, I might look at other people's parses and see what trinkets other people are using and
Hmm.
might adjust if I feel like a fight's not like I'm not keeping up with the rest of the pack.
So how did your guild handle giving out the skull and other pieces of gear? Is it like a loot councils type of system? Is it soft reserve or?
So Contra does a lootless system, and honestly, I wasn't about to play a Boomkin without that type of lootless system because I know a lot of people might be in loot council guilds, and I feel like they have a tendency to funnel loot to the other classes. And I told my GM Contra, I was like, "There's 3 things I need to be happy and coming to raid ready to pump, and I was like, no loot restrictions due to my class and specs, one of them, and we haven't had any issues. There, like I said, there was a 4-way tie on Skull of Gudin, so all 3 warlocks got it first by rolls, and
Yeah.
then I got the last one.
So how does a loot list work? I haven't really looked much into that type of system.
The way ours is, I think we do it slightly different than maybe some of the other guilds do it. We essentially have like a top area where we put our like bis, and we can only have one of every piece armor slot in that top list, besides things like your rings and stuff like that. We actually did have a restriction that we couldn't put 2 of the caster trash rings in the top of our list. We had to put it the second ring in the off spec, or rather the side grades area. So that was one restriction. We did have a restriction on like Shroud of the Highborn. Our healers, we had an agreement that the casters couldn't put it in their top 3. They had to put it at number 4. And then we haven't gotten enough where it's gotten to casters yet. But so we have our top area, which is your BIS. You have the second area, which is your side grades or alternate pieces. And then we have a area in the bottom that is for all your like off spec or PvP pieces.
Oh yeah.
And pretty much they have a spreadsheet that gives them the order based on where people have put everything in their lists. And then if people are tied and have it at the same spot in their lists, then you have to do a roll off. It took four tries for me to get Skull, so I
Yeah.
had the luck early on in SSC. I got the first vestments, but this time it was paying me back.
And you're using the tier 6 4-piece. And I'm looking at your Supremus fight that you got rank 1 in. So grats again for that. But
Thank you.
your max crit for that fight was 75, 85. Is that normal for it to be around that crit?
I honestly don't ever look at that. I don't look at how high my crits get.
Okay.
I saw on the Balance Discord that Jeff, he ran a ton of sims and more than I have time to run, and he said that the tier 6 4-piece is about a 45 DPS upgrade over tier 5 with blue gems.
Hmm.
So I kind of just got my tier 6 4-piece and I haven't looked back.
Okay.
I considered using tier 5 maybe for a mother set, but I found that most Boomkins parsing on that fight just wear their normal gear and hope for good RNG. So I kind of dropped that idea.
Yeah, I crit higher, but not nearly as much as you do, probably. So that's the main difference I've seen from the 2 sets of gear. Tier
I
6,
mean,
lower crits, but you crit more often than Tier 5, bigger crits, but less often.
there's some fights where, yeah, I get like, I don't know, like 23% crit and my parse sucks. It's a lot of RNG.
And even this one, you got 50% crit, which isn't too high, but
Yeah, it's definitely
still,
not the highest I've crit.
yeah,
hmm
still had really high DPS.
I feel like on that particular fight, our tanks were able to really hold aggro when he went to the kite phase.
Yeah.
So I was able to stand still A ton.
Volcano gets placed next to it, you have to move, then that just throws your DPS out the window.
Yep.
So do you think there's anything special with your rotation that you're doing? Are you popping your Destro and Skull together? Is it your Destro and Hex Shrunken Head together? How are you timing your cooldowns and stuff like that?
I don't really feel like I'm doing anything drastically different in my rotation than what's suggested. I think like one of the main things, the biggest thing is like the always be casting.
Hmm.
And knowing the fight well enough to know where you need to be before you need to be there. So positioning, I think, is really, really key. Also, like knowing where your shaman is for totems so that you're never losing out on any of that. And then pairing movement with like your instance, so your Moonfire, Fairy Fire, Insect Swarm, if you can like wait a little bit longer before you have to move, if at all possible, and then pair it with one of those, then you're utilizing your movement time as best as you can. In this phase, I think there's really only like 2 fights that I do too much that's really different. One of them being Reliquary of Souls. Shout out to my healers who pump so that I don't kill myself or have to stop casting for very long. And then I would say Mother, where you're watching the debuffs and swapping between Starfire and Wrath, depending on what the debuff is. There could be more fights that maybe I should be doing different things that I'm just not aware of. I generally will pop Destro and Skull so far. I've been popping those two together during our Lust at the start of our fight. There's a few fights that we change up when we do Lust, but a lot of them will pop Lust at the beginning. So I try to fit my trinkets into those windows. I could probably be using my trees a lot better than I am. I've been working on like just making sure I'm using them as much as I can in a fight. So I've been popping them at the start with my other cooldowns. I've been reading a touch about that I shouldn't be popping my trees with my Spellfire trinket. So I might give that a try soon, but I'm really just trying to get the uses that I can out of the fight and then make sure that I'm doing it in a window where I don't think they're going to die.
I don't want you to get flamed or nothing if you talk about not having Fairy Fire up like the whole time. You let it drop off on this fight, just towards the end.
Sometimes at the end I'm a bad boomkin, and yes, I prioritize my cast over putting fairy fire back up. I make decisions, and I generally don't fairy fire on trash.
So just maybe at the end, or if it's a second that it's going to fall off, but you get to have an extra Starfire with your cooldowns up, you would let Fairy Fire fall off just for that little bit.
I do. Maybe my melee will get mad at me for that, but it's like the last couple of seconds. It's like if I think I'm gonna only have a handful of casts, it's not really gonna hurt them too much.
So you do get to keep your innervate some weeks, you were saying, so you alternate with your mage. They get it one week, you get it the next week.
Yeah. So our GM, he gets the innervate from the feral and the resto and pays them with like stat food. Crazy Penguin and I have an agreement where he gets my vate 100% every other week, normally aligning with double lust weeks. And he pays me by taking me to DM East to farm demonic runes. But, you know, we just really communicate with each other because if someone is looking for a certain parse, then we can adjust. There's certain fights that I know that I don't need my Vate, so I'll give it out freely. And I've even given it out to one of our warlocks so that they could try to parse on a fight. And then sometimes if there's something like Crazy is trying to get like a really good parse on, he might give up like the ferals Vate. And then there's been some times when we've given all 3 to the mages depending on what they need as a parse, and then I just adjust accordingly. So there'll be some fights where if our kill time is good enough, I can destro and get double lust and not need my Vate, so I'll give it away. Because if Crazy can do more DPS with my Vate and I don't need it, then it will only make our kill time faster, which improves my DPS overall. I'm
Sweet.
eager to do the new content, the PTR, because I usually will do like for BTM Mount Hygel, I did the PTR and I took notes on what fights that I was going to need my innervate and which ones I wasn't going to need my innervate, so that when we actually got onto live, we would be able to kill stuff faster because I knew which fights I needed it and which ones I didn't. And then like I kind of have a rule like for new content, if a fight's like over 4 minutes, I usually tell Crazy that I'm going to keep it. And like the first 2 weeks, usually when we do new content, I keep my Vate 100%. And then as our kill times get better, then I will give it to him more often. And like as our gear gets better and the kill times go down, so that I'm not like just holding on to it. I'm like, I'm still helping out, but I am a little selfish at the beginning of any new content.
Are they planning on going fire or frost? I guess it's not really frost they would go. It would just be fire for Stunwell.
I think Hanj told me that he's gonna stay arcane. I'm not too sure what Crazy's gonna be doing though.
So after Sunwell ends, are you gonna stay Boomkin for Wrath when it comes out, or are you gonna switch mains to a different class? Or
I've considered switching for Wrath of the Lich King, but nothing's set in stone. No spots in the guild are promised as of right now, so we've just been talking about what people are interested in. I really like Contra, the guild, so I don't want to leave him high and dry, so I guess we'll see what's needed and go from there. Don't know yet. Maybe Affliction Warlock.
so I've been looking at your logs. I hear that you look at people's logs that ask you about questions and do log reviews yourself. Has that helped you? Do you think be it or play better yourself?
Yeah, because I mean, when I was doing the Fury Warrior in Classic, I would try. I was being shown by other people how to look at logs a bit more and push the numbers I was pushing on my warrior. Like some of the biggest things that I try to look at is like find a comparable log with similar kill time in raid comp and kind of look at the number of casts that they're doing and ability their main abilities and their cooldowns versus what I'm doing. If I see a drastic difference in like number of starfires, for example, versus mine, and we have similar kill times, that means I'm moving too much. And like helping other people like understand the boss fight and the mechanics. Again, that ABC, always be casting. If you know where you need to be before you need to be there, you'll spend less time moving. So that's part of it. I'll look at like consume usage. Most of the times, most of the high parses, for casters are using destro pots. So what's enabling them to use destro over mana pots? Like if I help people and they're not willing to invest that level of time to get the different consumables, then you just gotta find a log that correlates to what they're willing to do and then try to help them improve to the best of that level. I'll usually try to compare versus other people and be like, find the little areas where I can tweak my own gameplay.
So you're using Shadowcaster's Drape for the whole raid, and you have 20 spell pen on it. Do you not have threat issues with doing such high DPS that you don't need subtlety or extra points spec wise into that subtlety to help with threat issues?
I mostly put spell pen on because I saw there's a lot of people who are actually just making spell pen sets for a council fight. So I haven't really been having threat issues, so that's why I put spell pen on it. I'm next up on the council cloak, and I'll probably put subtlety on that one, and then keep the Shadowcasters for the council fight. Mainly, the only time I really have any threat issues might be on like trash. But my prop paladin Thormath has a quick bop finger, so when any of our DPS get out of hand, he's on it. And our prot warrior Garak has been rank 1 the past 2 phases, so I rarely have any issues as a DPS under him on bosses. In Tempest Keep though, the packs before KT, our feral druid Workmore and I had a competition on threat on the mobs he would be tanking. I'd pop my trinkets off the bat and to see if he could keep it off of me. I may have killed half the raid one time, but it never happened again.
So looking at your boss kill times, they're all very fast. Do you think that's the biggest thing that helps you parse really well, or are there other factors that you think go into that high of a parse?
I think that is a very large component to why I do as well as I do. Because everybody in my guild, the expectation is you come to parse. We aren't a speedrun guild. We focus on parsing on bosses, which is why our average boss times are pretty quick. I think our raid comp is fairly good. We can definitely feel when we're missing key buffs from people when they have like call out days, and everybody is expected to be using consumes, and they check from time to time to make sure nobody's dead weight. Everyone's pretty good about it, so it's not too big of an issue, but the officers also have to make those tough calls about when someone isn't performing well. I think they give very ample chances to improve, but sometimes people just aren't a good fit for the guild. So there's been a few key roles that have had a bit more turnover, mainly like shadow priests and enhancement shamans for some reason. But they normally find replacements. And then the raid leader who calls for battle reses, I told him, I was like, hey, can you please call me last for battle resing between all the druids? If you make me battle res, my parse is shot, and it's pretty much equivalent to a mana potion cooldown. So I really feel like Boomkin parsing is just all about removing those little things that hold you back, most of which is mana related. My guild, I really feel like they respect the role that I do and they work with me so I can be the best version of a Boomkin that I can be.
So yeah, you're not a speedrunning guild. So are you guys waiting for heroism between Asgalar and Archimonde? It almost looks like you guys are given that 10
We
minute
do.
buffer. Yeah, we
We
skip
do.
right to it. Like we pick one week, we might have heroism on Asgalar, and the next week we'll have it on Archimonde. So that's going to help you consistently parse well on those two bosses. Having that
Yeah.
heroism.
They generally whatever the time required to have the bloodlust up when we want them, he'll have everybody run to Archimon, and then they put up a break timer. You get up, get a drink, go to the bathroom, come back. But yeah, we do wait for our lust.
Yeah, even in Black Temple, we've been trying to run Black Temple faster, and I forget what bosses it is that we've just not had to have lust. We're trying to improve our raid time. But yeah, you guys are definitely waiting for heroism, so that's going to help out.
Do you guys clear in one night?
Yeah, we do Black Temple and Hyjal. We started off doing Hyjal first, and then Black Temple, and then we switched. So now we're doing Black Temple first, and then Hyjal. I think one reason for us is to do that is the mining nodes in Hyjal. So we're trying to cut down our Hyjal time, so we've been trying to skip mining until after the raid's done, and then go back and do it.
We've been doing Mount Hyjal and then Black Temple, but this last week I think we did Black Temple first because someone said that they weren't going to be there the following Thursday. So if we didn't one night clear, they didn't want us to lose out on loot on Illidan. And I honestly felt like it was better because people were more present for BT, which I feel is maybe the slightly more difficult raid to do. We'll have issues sometimes on council, and we didn't have that this week. So I almost feel like BT first, then Mount Hyjal second might be better for us personally.
So you have an alt for every single class. What's your favorite thing about being a Boomkin?
I honestly just love being like the underdog spec and trying to push the limits on how much damage I can do. I like joke about going on the damage meters and changing my name to C tier DPS and like all the people below me, like shaming them.
Yeah.
Just to drive the competition. I also really just like all the small things I can do and bring to the raid to help support everybody. Like I have a noticeable impact on being able to help somebody else do really well in the raid. So I really enjoy that aspect.
So you are the 9th highest all-star Balance Druid in the world. Do you plan on trying to improve that this phase? Like trying to get even higher than that for Sunwell? Like stay top 10 for Sunwell? Or how's your parsing looking for that phase?
I'm going to do as I normally do. I'm just going to try to continually improve and parse and pump. It's getting really tricky, I think, to beat. I think most of the all-stars above me are from the Asian servers, and they're doing things like getting like 3 lusts, they're getting PIs, and they're doing some stuff that I don't know if it's realistic for me to get in my guild. So, I mean, I think I'm beating some of them that are doing that type of stuff right now as it is. And I don't even have, like we talked, I don't have like optimal BIS gear yet, even. So I'm going to try to keep as high as I can and make my adjustments as I need to.
So we just got the Sunwell PTR today. Do you have gear plans for Sunwell yet already? Done anything with your loot list to prepare for Sunwell?
We haven't done anything on loot list yet. I do have, like, on 70 upgrades, like a gear set that I put together, I think based off of some lists that were on the Balance Discord at one point. I'm a bad druid. I didn't switch to engineering like everybody else. A lot of people dropped tailoring in the earlier phases, and I just couldn't be bothered. I was like, I don't have enough time to go farm all the stuff for NG, and I just let my arcane mages and warlocks handle the AoE on trash. So I'm just like, no, I'm going to keep tailoring. It might open up more options for me since I can get like Spellfire robes, and it might enable me to put other pieces higher on it because there won't be as many people trying to go for the robes. And because I'm not sure if I will be playing Boomkin in Wrath of the Lich King, I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to go hard on the Sliver of Naru or not. I might not, but we'll see what I end up deciding when the time comes.
And the dagger too, right?
Yeah, the dagger. I'll probably be going for that, just like everybody else. Like, I never let what other people are gonna do change my top decision on what I want. Maybe it might affect like the order, but I tend to go after like the really aggressive BIS lists, the ones that are like, oh well, your guild probably won't give you these things, so go after this other list. No, I go after the one that everybody, the dream list.
Yeah, the highly contested list.
Yeah. I think by the end of the last phase, I was only missing at the very end. I was only missing one of the pieces off of my BIS list. So it hasn't been too bad. I've been able to get things. I'm a little bit worried now because of how quick they're putting Sunwell on the PTR, whether or not I'll have all the pieces going into there, but I'm just gonna have to use what I got.
Is there any way that people can get a hold of you?
Yeah. You could message me on Discord. I don't have the special character on Discord, so it's just Wagyu 8250.
Do you have your own YouTube channel?
I don't have a YouTube channel. I did consider, like, when TBC was coming out, I did consider trying to like stream like the progression going through all the phases. I just never decided to do it or found the time or had the internet capabilities to do so. If anybody ever wants to see me play, I did make a Discord, so I could give that to people if they wanted, and if they want to talk about anything, we can pop in there, and I have no problem helping people if they want. I don't know everything. I'm not like, oh, you should be using rank this over rank that, and here's the reason why. Like, I'm kind of more of like a feels craft type, and so I'll tell you what I've been doing and what I think, and you could take it or leave it.
So you do keep the idol of the raiding goddess on every raid, like whether you're trying to parse yourself or you're trying to let your mages parse, giving them the innervate?
Yeah, you told me that you use the Starfire one, and you don't take that one off. I'm like, what if I just switch it? They'll never know. So I might try to do that. We'll see. Now that
Okay.
I've said it, maybe they'll get mad at me. But I think they would be reasonable. Like, if there's a fight that I'm trying to really, push up a little bit, I don't think they'll have a problem. So I might have to start investigating using different idols and maybe try the idol swapping. So we'll see. But I don't know. It's just been easy to leave on Raven Goddess because it benefits, my whole group. So I haven't felt the need to swap to something different, but I think you're right. Like, there might be some fights where I'm going to have to, try to dial in some of these little details and really, really push it to stay up here on the top. I'm looking. Do you use Scourge, Bane, and Fusion?
I do not. What is Scourge, Bane, and Fusion?
It increases your spell power against undead targets.
And that stacks with everything?
Mm-hmm.
Is that from that quest?
It's from a quest in Ghostlands, is it?
Yeah, the Blood Elf starting zone. I saw Crix had a video on it. I think it was Crix, but I haven't
Increases
gotten
spell
it.
damage by up to 15 against undead.
What fights are you using that on?
I use it on Rage Winter Chill, like before Rage Winter Chill, and then I think, is it Terran Gorfine?
It's just those 2 fights, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a repeatable quest where you turn in an item, right? It's like 10 of
Yep.
some item, I think it is.
Yeah. That's very like one of those small little sweaty things you could do if you wanted to. I also like getting the Thornling seeds from DM East when I'm in there, getting the demonic runes.
Mhm.
And I like to pop those before Mother, like away from where everybody's going to be standing, because they can be targeted for the what is it called? What she does, the affliction or whatever.
Fatal Attraction?
Fatal Attraction, yeah. And I think people drop like their what's the name of that? The staff that you can get from Netherstorm. There's a quest item where you can summon that guy to turn in the quests, and he will also be targeted by that. So, and I think there's a few other things that can be targeted as well that I'm not remembering, but I've been not putting on any shadow resist to try to get the parse on Mother. I just like putting those extra little things down so that they get targeted, so that hopefully it means I won't get targeted for the RNG reasons.
So you're putting down the Thornling before the fight or during the fight? Like
I normally drop it like on the pulled timer, like 5 seconds before the pull timer, before you go in for your fight.
Okay.
You can do it on council as well. They'll get targeted for the AoE effects instead of you guys as well.
So you do have a lower rank Starfire that you're using sometimes?
Yeah, if I'm really struggling on mana, instead of rank 8, I drop down to rank 6. And I think on the Balance Discord, there's like the priority list of what you should be dropping to conserve mana. I think you drop Moonfire first, and then you drop the rank of your Starfire. I normally, yeah, if I'm low on mana, yeah, I do that instantly. I'll drop Moonfire right away, and then just swap. And then once I get one of my cooldowns back up, like the rune or the pot, then I'll swap back. That was like another thing. You could go on the logs and go to your resources and swap it to mana and like see how mana efficient you're being. Like I just went to my like Nagentis and I ended the fight with like 75% of my mana. So I don't remember. Let me see if I gave away my innervate.
Yeah,
I innervated myself. So technically, it would have been a DPS increase to give it away at that point, is the way I've been looking at it. Maybe I would have run out of mana if I didn't have it. So, because I destropotted. So sometimes to like keep myself in check on my innervates, I'll go in there and look at those charts and be like, okay, I really don't need this one for this fight. I'm gonna give it away. Like I feel like Shade, I never need innervate.
Yeah.
Reliquary of Souls, I don't really ever need it. I don't feel like. I mean, sometimes it's easier to like get in a groove so you don't have the disruption. So sometimes, yeah, I will just keep it for the entire week and use it on myself and not give it away.
What's your favorite fight from Black Temple and your favorite fight from Hyjal?
I think my favorite fight from Black Temple, I really like Terran Gorfine because you just get to stand there and turret.
Unless you get the debuff and turn into a ghost. And
yeah, I've gotten that one time so far.
Same here.
So I do like Reliquary of Souls. I don't know, it's cool because like in phase 2, once I started reading about it, it's like you don't do the Moonfire, so you're just sitting there spamming Starfires, and who doesn't like to see the big numbers too?
That phase 3 is the funnest.
Yeah, you're like sitting there, oh my god, am I gonna kill myself? Somebody heal me.
Yeah, once it starts getting over 10k crits, you're like, uh-oh, this is getting fun, but also dangerous.
As far as Mount Hyjal, I like the suspense of Khazargul, like the mana burn guy. We've gotten it now to a point where most times we kill it where he only does one mana burn. So trying to beat that before he does the second one. Yeah, a lot of people have been blowing up lately, but yeah, I like that one. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be risky.
Yeah.
Let me do the Destropot, give my Vade away. Can I make it?
I'm looking at the gem in your hands. You have the 5 crit, 6 damage to get the socket bonus, which is 2 damage. So 8 spell power, 5 crit over 12 spell power. Are you gonna change that one to a 12 spell power, or do you like having that little bit of crit rating instead of the extra spell power?
Maybe in the future I could change that gem, but for now, with the amount of reds that we're getting and the amounts that my healers need, I went with the orange for now because in total received I think 4 red gems from the guild, and I'm not buying them out of my own pocket. I have 2 gems saved up for my next piece that drops. Maybe later I could swap it, but for now, like, it's kind of just been a decision because I don't want to spend money to do it.
So your shoulder enchant Scryer. You gonna keep the Scryer enchant? Do you like that over the Aldor enchant?
Again, I think this falls into I made a decision early to get the Scryer blood gem, and then I haven't been sweaty enough to want to change to Aldor. And it also gave me the leg enchant for tailoring. So I like to be independent, like be able to do things on my own without having to ask somebody, "Hey, can you log on and make me this?"
Yeah.
So I've just kept it, and I probably have no intentions of changing to Eldor by the end of the game.
Like, are you parsing this high on all of your alts too, or any alt at all?
I did raid for a small portion of time on my hunter in a different guild, but they were doing a Sunday raid and it fell through before they started doing Mount Hyjal and BT. So I got like full tier 5 and a Vash bow and like I got a bunch of different pieces and then it just fell apart. So I never like truly got into the swing of parsing on the hunter. Ever since that fell through, I haven't tried to raid on a second character. So I'm trying to gear up the warlock right now just to have it if I do end up swapping for Wrath of the Lich King. But no, I've just been focusing on the Balance Druid for now.
So how does your mage let you know when they're ready for their innervate? Do they just send you a whisper macro?
Yeah. Yep. They have a macro set up to whisper me, and I have my macro set up to innervate my focus target. So I just set whoever to my focus, and then I hit the button and it gives it to them. And that way it's really nice because if a different, if like my GM wants innervate versus crazy, then all I do is I just swap my focus target, and then I don't have to change anything on my end besides that. So I don't have to think about it. It's just transparent. And I constantly have to tell them if anybody has to make a macro to whisper me what my alt code is.
Do you prefer being Horde over Alliance? Do you
I
think Alliance has
feel
advantage because they have that extra 1% hit?
yeah, I'm really actually very jealous of that 1% hit. I wish I had it. But honestly, right now, like with the gear I haven't been able to drop hit when I have both shamans. So I don't know how I would gear differently. I guess I would know if I was Alliance, but
Yeah.
I like the Moonkin form more of the Alliance actually.
So you have a rank 9 on All Stars, a rank 14 Hyjal, 8th in the world for Black Temple overall in the world, and the rank 1 Supremus as of today's date, the 15th of April. Thanks so much for doing this interview with me, taking the time out. I know the PTR's up. You're probably itching to get on the PTR to test out some Sunwolf stuff. Thanks again.
Yeah, not a problem. If anybody has any questions they want my answer on, they might not be, the most up to date, top balanced Discord answers or super sweaty ones. But if you want my opinion, I'm available on Discord. Wagyu number 8250. I'll do blog reviews or chat or whatever you guys want. Just happy to help out the community.